Boom! What time is it? Oh, am I late? 2 minutes. We're getting better. We're not there yet, but we're gonna get there. It's all for love. Okay? It's all for love. Guys, tell me in the comments if you can get me loud and clear. I would be grateful if you could break it down for me. I know it's, what time is it? It's 12:28. Is it 12:28? Yes, it is. What did I say? 12:25? Well, we're not all first round picks, you know. We're not. Better, sir. Watching. Hello, everybody. Please tell me in the comments below if you can get this broadcast loud and clear. I'm using my Samsung phone. You know, the other day I was doing a live broadcast and I noticed that the picture quality was grainy. Well, the reason for that is because I was using Airtel. Airtel is not as good when it comes to live broadcasting and streaming. MTN is the truth. So right now I'm using MTN. Please tell me if this is clear, okay? And usually when I use MTN, it's smooth sailing. This is not a commercial for MTN. I'm just sharing with you my experience. You can take that or, you know, or leave it. But that's my truth, and I'm going to stick to it. Guys, we have lots to talk about, and we're going to try and condense this in under 25 minutes. What I'm going to ask you to do, please, wherever you're from, wherever you're watching us from, please share this live. As I always say, as is my custom, I believe that there are lots of people out there that would be interested in this conversation. So if you know anybody that is, just shoot them a quick share and see if they can jump on and we can do the thing. Clear, big boss. Somebody says, Honorable Mwamba. Hello to you. Watching from Kitwe, Garden Court. Thank you. We love Kitwe. We do. Thank you so much. And thank you, Kitwe, for giving us our very first Zambian icon. Thank you for that. We appreciate you and we love you for that. Okay, a couple of things. Donald Trump's imminent victory. Imminent means it's almost a sure thing. It looks to be, the writing is on the wall. It looks to be like Trump is going to take this thing and he's going to do it in fine style. Now I can't do it. I can't do a good Trump impression. But I just love how Trump he's always over the top about everything. Everything is the most beautiful. It's the biggest. I mean, the other day, my feeble attempt at doing a Trump impression. Imagine if Trump walks into the bedroom and switches off the light and he turns to Melania and says, Melania, this is the darkest dark I've ever seen. It's so beautiful. It's so dark. I think it's the darkest dark it's been in the history of dark. Everything is over the top with Trump. And this presidency is going to be eventful. I've always said, and I'll say it again, Trump's presidency is funkier than a Kamala Harris presidency. That is to say, Trump's presidency would be more eventful, it would be more entertaining, it would be more engaging than Kamala Harris. Now, of course, from a policy point of view, that's a different conversation. And of course, we know that these politicians are public servants, they are public officials, they are not there to entertain us, but they invariably do, especially someone like Trump. And from what I'm looking at, I was just looking at the stats today, you need a presidential candidate needs exactly 270 electoral college votes. Okay, Trump so far he's got 267, which is about 51% of the popular vote. Now remember, in America, there's what's known as the Electoral College and the popular vote. For instance, each state, I know you know this, okay, each state has different numbers of electoral colleges. For example, in the state of California, the whole of California, there are 54 college electoral votes in California. In New York City, there are 28 electoral college votes. In Louisiana, down south, they only have 8. So accumulatively, those votes, those electoral college votes, you need 270 of those to be declared winner. Now, the electoral vote is different from the popular vote. For example, Trump right now has close to 70 million people that have voted for him. Kamala Harris is about 65, 66 million. Okay, so she's trailing behind him. As soon as Trump crosses the 270 electoral vote mark, boom, it's over. See ya. Trump becomes the 47th president of the United States. Now, let me say this. I know because in Zambia, Zambians are very simplistic people. I mean, especially when it comes to elections, Zambians will look at something and we will take the base, most rudimentary interpretation, and we will just run with that. For example, there are people right now that are equating Trump's return to the White House, they are equating that to lungu. Some of you Dwanzis, people like, there's a Zambian Kada, a PF Kada, by the name of Joseph Chishimba. He's been spouting this stuff, you know. Lungu's coming back. Since Trump has won, since Trump has come back, the writing is on the wall that Lungu will come back. You see, these are simpletons that cannot see beyond their noses. This Kada, by the name of Shishimba, they cannot see beyond their noses because for them, everything is simplistic. Everything is base interpretation. They are not taking into account that Lungu has been elected twice, sworn in twice, served twice. They conveniently ignore that fact. Whereas Trump has only served one term. So constitutionally, he is eligible to stand a second time. Now, if Barack Obama, the former president of the United States, if Barack Obama were to take a third stab at the presidency, of course, the American Constitution would immediately bar him from doing that. But let's say through some crazy anomaly, let's say through some bolt of undetermined light, Obama stood and says, you know what, I've served twice, I've been elected twice, but I'd like to run for a third term. And by some miracle, the American Constitution says, Obama, let's do a third time. Let's say Obama finds himself on the ballot box, then he wins a third term. Now you can equate Obama to Lungu. Now they're on par. You know why? Because they are both candidates that were elected twice, that were sworn in twice, and that served twice. But you cannot equate Donald Trump to Lungu because Trump has only served one term. Constitutionally, he can run a second if he wins, which for all intent and purposes, it appears as though he will, even though right now as we speak, he has about 267 electoral votes, more than 70 million votes in his favor. It looks like he's going to bag it. And there are lots of pundits and lots of newspaper authorities that have called this election in favor of Trump. When Trump wins and is declared winner, he would have run and won a second term. After this second term, when he goes through the 4 years, this next 4 years, guess what? He cannot run again. Why? Because the Constitution prohibits him from doing that. No, by some of you. No, Trump na rapo. So it appears as though if Trump rapo, it means the ECL now ala chitashani ala rapo. Amashiru fe yeka. Dalo. Now mshatu mnankali vyo mtima. You pain my heart. Because you talk nonsense, you know, you really do, and move away from that. Now, I must make mention. I must say this. You have to understand that when you begin to propagate this falsity, and really it's done through repetition. You know, this is the secret, this is the secret weapon that the NPF has. It is the power of repetition. The more you keep saying, the more Lungu jeopardizes his standing in society. And let me explain why. Because the people begin to see him for what he is, which is a power-hungry villain that wants nothing but retribution and revenge. Ooh, listen, God just dropped that in my heart. That just came to me. You know, the whole agenda, the entire modus operandi of Lungu and his camp is to regain power at all costs by any means necessary, with the sole purpose, the sole objective, the sole desire to mete out revenge, retribution, and malice, rancor. But it's not going to happen. And let me tell you why. It's because the Zambian people collectively, we've moved on, honey. You know why? Because in Zambia, we do not elect people for third terms. We do not give them third terms. It is encoded in the Zambian political psyche. Ever since Bachiruba tried it and he failed. Bachiruba sold council land, council property, just for a third term bid. Power was so sweet that he famously sat and said on live ZNBC, he said, I didn't know power was so sweet. Of course, he said sweet. He didn't say sweet. He said sweet. Because in Zambia, we say sweet. It's sweet. S-W-I-T. Sweet. It's sweet. It's not sweet. It's sweet. S-W-E-E-T. Sweet. Enunciate, guys. Okay? Pronounce the words the way they're supposed to be pronounced. Okay? So, because of that history, and it was cemented by Bachiruba. Bachiruba tried it, he failed. Every single president, every single solitary former president that has tried a third term bid has always landed with a hollow thud. You know why? Because the Zambian psyche simply does not compute. We do not like third term bids. We don't. The only people that shout third term are the benefactors. The people around the ECL that are screaming third term, the only reason they do that is because they know, oh, if Lungu comes back, it means we come back. If Lungu comes back, it means we get to do what we used to do. If Lungu comes back, it means we get to regain our way of life. If Lungu comes back, it means we get to brutalize the Zambian public. If Lungu comes back, it means we get to take the law into our own hands. If Lungu comes back, it means that we can walk through the streets and terrorize the citizens for all they're worth, and nobody's going to stop us. But that's not going to happen. You know why? Because the Zambian people, mate, have moved on. We have. We've utterly moved on. Now, let me talk about Bowman for a moment. Bowman has recently, just a few hours ago, barely 2 hours ago, has been sentenced to 2 years in prison with hard labor. And I must tell you, the judge was kind to Bowman. Let's be totally honest. The judge was benevolent. The judge was magnanimous to Bowman, to give Bowman 2 years. In that situation, the judge was kind. 2 years, hard labor. If he plays his cards right, Bowman will be out of prison in a year, maybe even less. 10, 11 months, he'll be out if he plays his cards right. But if he becomes a nuisance, which he happens to be able to do even without thinking. I mean, can you imagine? He stands in the courtroom and he says to the judge, he says, can you please be as lenient as possible? Pantuine, one day I'm going to be president of this country. One day. Do you know the subliminal message he was sending to the judge? Do you know what he was saying when he said that? He was saying to the judge, if you're too harsh on me and I become president, I will remember your name, and guess what? It's going to be crack-a-lacking up in here. Why? Because the PF are brilliant at revenge. These MPF chaps, oh, they love revenge, retribution, rancor, and malice are their middle names. Bowman was sending a message to the judge. He was saying, Judge, be careful how you sentence me. Okay, be careful, because one of these days I may be president and I'm going to remember your name and I'll never forget you. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to say something very controversial. In a PF environment, listen to this very, very carefully. If you've heard nothing I've said, listen to what I'm about to tell you, because what I'm about to tell you is extremely important. Listen. Tell me, type in the comments, I'm listening. If you type that, I know that you're listening. Because what I'm about to share with you is of the most, it is abundantly important. It is very, very telling. It's a clear indication of what could have been and what could be. Okay? Just type in the comments, I'm listening. Thank you, Daniel. And here it is. Concerning Bowman and his utterance in court, telling the judge, Kuti, be lenient with me because one day I'm going to be president of this country. Here's what I want to share with you. In a PF environment, a Bowman presidency was very possible. Tell me if that makes sense to you. In a PF environment, had Walungu been president, still been president, people like Bowman Lusambo could easily become president. People like Kalimanshi could easily become president. People like Cabbage could easily become president. Thugs, hooligans, and vagabonds in the PF environment, any one of those thugs could have become president in that environment. Why? Because it was an environment of lawlessness. It was a free-for-all. It was a blank check to rancor, malice, hooliganism, while Lungu allowed an environment of lawlessness. And in that environment, a Bowman presidency is very possible. Tell me if that resonates with you. Tell me if you think I'm telling you the truth. Tell me if what I'm saying is gelling. Tell me if what I'm uttering right now makes sense. I'll say it again. If Walungu was still president in a PF environment, Bowman's declaration that he wants to be president would not have been outlandish. In a PF environment, people like Bowman, people like Kalimanshi, those chaps, they could have become president in that environment. But the Zambian people have raised the level and the standard of leadership. Here it is, we have a president not only that is magnanimous, but he's not embroiled in that nonsense. He's not. Yes, he's not perfect, but boy, I tell you, he's a whole lot better than those scoundrels. And I keep telling you, I will keep sharing this little nugget. While we can agree that there is no such thing as a perfect government, we can agree that there are some governments that are better than others. We can agree that we no longer live under that brutality of fear, intimidation, rancor, lawlessness, where Kadas used to drive through. You don't know because you didn't live it. You are not aware because you didn't live it. Now, of course, some of you are so snarky. You'll say, no, but are we going to eat the fact that there are no more Kadas? Peace, tranquility, above all. Peace, tranquility, above all. I love the fact that, yes, even though things are tough, and honey, they are tough. They're tough. But I love the fact that I can live in a country where I am no longer coming to work intimidated. Intimidated simply because I think differently. You know, now, of course, some of you disagree with that, and that's fine. You can make that argument, but that is my experience. And you can never argue with a man that has an experience. Your experience may be different from mine. But my point is, in a PF environment, what Bowman said to the judge today would have been very possible. People like Bowman could have taken over from ECL. I'll never forget. Basata, we had gone to see Basata for something. He was the president at the time. And I'd gone to see him. Oh my goodness. I've shared this story before. I walk in and without mentioning names, I find him scolding a minister. Standing next to Basata was Cosmo Mumba. You guys remember Cosmo Mumba? Remember him? He was the one that Basata sort of paid money to go and insult Nevis and all that stuff. You guys remember Cosmo Mumba? Tell me in the comments if you remember him. Tell me. Tell me, quickly. I thought it's the majority to choose. How can Bowman become president? You push it and you ask Mwandi. You know. Yeah, anyway, so this is a true story. I've shared this before. It's not a secret. And you remember. Yes, you remember. I remember him, yes. Cosmo Mumba was a minion. He was a nuisance. Any day he could just fall over dead, okay? Because he's so rancored. He's so, because of his irresponsible lifestyle, he's literally standing at death's door. That's a fact, okay? I'm not trying to be malicious. I'm just telling you the truth. When you are irresponsible with your life, that's the result. Anyway, there was a time Cosmo Mumba was very, very close to Basata. And Basata used Cosmo Mumba quite extensively, you know, in terms of decampaigning Nevis Mumba and insulting Nevis and smearing Nevis. I'll never forget one time Cosmo was drunk to the hilt and he came with a dog and he said, I'm on my way to ZNBC because I'm going to call this dog Nevis. And we stopped him. We said, you do that, you're going to be in trouble. But he was sent to do things like that. And in those days, he could have done it. He could have easily gone to ZNB. In PF, you could have done such nonsense. He was on his way to ZNBC with a dog. That was the type of environment we were living in. So back to the story. I found Basata, whom I knew very well. I knew Basata very well. He worked with my dad. I've known him over the years. I knew him over the years. I knew his children, friends, we're friends. Basata was scolding a minister in the presence of Cosmo Mumba. And out of frustration, Basata said, Imwe baiche imwe, ngatamuli careful, inkashira presidency kuri yuini uyu. Pointing at Cosmo. You should have seen the look on Cosmo Mumba's face. Imagine the head of state, a president of Zambia. You are a minister and you are being scolded by the head of state, And the head of state turns to a non-entity like Cosmo Mumba and says to you as a minister, careful, presidency, you see, in a PF environment, anything was possible. Anything, anyone was possible. Do you understand what I'm trying to tell you? Are you getting what I'm telling you? We are now in a dispensation where we have a chance at normalcy. We have a chance at raising the bar of leadership. We have a chance of rationale. We have a chance at a linear line of logic. We have a chance. Not in that PF environment where anything went. Anything went. I'll never forget. I've got stories. Oh, listen, man. I've been here for 37 years. Right here. I have seen it all. I'll never forget. You know, in those days, in the PF days, as long as you were a kada, all you needed was a PF chitenge to spread on your dashboard of your car, of your vehicle. EDGAR license. EDGAR, the moment you just spread a PF chitenge on your car dashboard, you had a passport. You were sending a message to the authorities, you were sending a message to the police that you were untouchable. I'll never forget, some car parked right in front of my gate. He spread the thingy. He came to buy a spare part here at Simoson. I was trying to drive out and I said, well, why are you parked in front of the gate? Why don't you just park in the car park or come in here so that you don't block traffic? Now imagine, he's coming to buy a spare part from us, from Simoson. And he's threatening me. He parks right in the middle of the road. Because I said to him, I said, look, we clamp vehicles for obstructing the road. We clamp. And this is a young guy telling me this. Okay, he must have been maybe 22, 23. That's the other thing. I said to the guy, I said, look, we're going to clamp your car. My goodness. That is the threatening environment that those guys fostered. So my point in bringing up Bowman is when you hear him say, telling the judge, Kuti, be lenient as you sentence me because one day I'm going to be president. That was code, C-O-D-E, code, C-O-D-E, code. That was a coded message that Bowman was sending to the judge saying, if you're harsh on me, because one day I'm going to be president, I'll never forget your name. But the truth is, people like Bowman cannot become president. Not in this environment. Not in this dispensation, where we have raised the bar of leadership. Now, the problem with me saying that, some of you Dwanzi Zambians, you start saying, but you are not God. How do you know? Well, honey, God doesn't vote. Okay? You and I vote. God creates the tree, you and I make the furniture. Okay? In this dispensation, there is no way people like Bowman, despots like Bowman, can become president. And besides, he's a convicted felon. How's he going to be president? You tell me. How the hell is he going to be president? Huh? He's going to be president because you say so? No, I don't think so. Alrighty. That's all I wanted to share with you. Thank you so much for watching. Appreciate you guys. Have a good day. Bye.